Hello everyone. Today's topic is one of the very important thing that I had to learn from my spirit guardian. It is to be kind and gentle to ourselves. This is the one of the most important thing as a human that we must learn to receive the divine's presence in our life, because earth life has a free will and universe always says yes. So without having that ego, without being intentionally cruel to somebody else, it is our duty to be kind and gentle to ourselves. People who grow up with lot of traumas have a habit of being too strict with themselves, too much criticizing themselves, too much abandoning themselves for someone else's sake. Maybe a family, a friend, a colleague, a husband, a wife, children, grandparents, friends, even as sometimes even if it is a stranger, because they were taught to do that, abandoning themselves and let go of the good things that rightfully theirs, because they convince themselves that it's okay to let that go. It is simple as a parents forcing one of their children, whoever that child is. Usually, if parents are having a lot of trauma in their own life, whether they are living an abundant life or not an abundant life, it really doesn't matter, because everything, if it is in imbalance, it has some negative effect. People who have a lot of abundance in their life still neglect. It's a possibility, it's possible that they still neglect their children and try to compensate that with providing them every single thing the child's demands, and either trying to fulfill that parental needs through that financial support to the child without having to give that emotional or any kind of a practical in real life support as a parent what they are supposed to do, and creating abandonment towards their children. Either those children, if they receive some other support, they may turn out real good. If they really are not into these kind of things, they may actually turn into a person with lot of demands. They literally can turn into a narcissistic person, too much demanding, not compromising to others, not caring about others, behaving like bullies, taking things for granted, and not actually clear having identity for themselves other than what identity their own parents has given them, which they associate everything with power, money, and the status, these kind of things, because they have not been taught what actually relationship is, what actually affection is, what is supposed to be a child supposed to receive from a parent. Even in those families where finance is an issue or not an issue, if the parent has a idea that this is my child, so this is exactly how I want to this child to be raised. No, even with a good intention, there are a lot of things can parent can do without even understanding the in-depth negative effect of the child that could actually bring out without them realizing it. Being too criticizing, not letting the kid being the kid when it's really a kid, pushing their expectations on their kids in a very mature way, being very aggressive towards their kids, treating their children very differently, and being very unkind, unappreciative towards the child. And when child does something, even if it is something silly, no, comparing themselves to a child's drawing and saying, this is not good enough. This is what? This is just, your sister did better when she was at your age. This kind of comment discouraging a kid for something very simple as, wow, this is really nice. Even if it's some random drawing, it looks like nothing, still it's very important to encourage kids. Means taking that self-confidence away from the kids. This is these kind of actions, taking those self-love, self-respect, self-worth, self-confidence, self-discipline away from the child and forcing themselves, their expectation, their idea of life, what is right, what is wrong, this is how it's supposed to be, this is not how it's supposed to be, this is exactly what I wanted to do, but I couldn't do it, so my children will do it. These kind of mentality when a parent has it, you know, some parents actually try to do a lot of things for their kids, thinking that they couldn't achieve it, so their children will achieve. And they think it's good for their children. Sometimes, even if a kid achieves the thing, it might be still bring out lot of personality issues within a kid. It might be differently effective in a personal level, on an interpersonal level. It might shows up in their friendship, it might shows up in their marriage, it might shows up in that kids when they themselves has their own kids. So we must give importance to these kind of things, to be kinder to ourselves. What I'm talking about, if you're somebody who has these kind of had or still have this kind of parents who are too strict, too much criticizing, always take you for granted, never appreciative, never give you a chance to explain, grieve, it's always their statement that has to be cemented in the end. There is no space for your objection, your ideas, and they may take a suggestion from a stranger, but they will never give you that chance in your life. Or somebody who always cries to make you feel guilty if so you do something for them, or pushing your boundaries to check how much you can take that disrespect that comes from them, or who always expect too much from you to behave like an older version of you that you were never was, like trying to make their children behave like a 6-year-old, trying to make that child behave like a 16-year-old child, or pushing too much responsibility, their responsibility on their children. Do this, do that, you help me with this, you help me with that, it's your responsibility, take care of your siblings, take care of this, take care of your grandpa, grandma, do this, do that, and comparing yourself with your cousins, your friends, your neighbors. See, it seems like a very normal thing in a society that is patriarchal, but when it comes to people who are really struggling within themselves, when they question themselves why it is happening, they may search for answers. A lot of people who believe in these kind of things, they may say karma, they may say fate, destiny, what I have, this, that, a lot of things that can say to themselves to soothe themselves. So that's okay. But the important thing is we have to focus, these kind of people have to focus. It's better to focus on the solution. So when we are focusing on the solution, instead of just going for the solution, it becomes easier to grasp the reality of the situation if these kind of people understand why this behavior comes to them. Because of that, they are this way, but without blaming their parents or the grandparents or anybody else, taking full responsibility of the situation and coming out of that victim mentality and being there for themselves is the rightest way to do. Universe always supports who genuinely want good things for themselves without having any ego, without trying to harm somebody intentionally. When it's always about our internal or external growth, love, and whatever the benevolent things that we want for ourselves as a desire, as a need, as anticipation, something that we always fantasized even. This is all makes up a bundle of things that we wanted in our life, whether we desired it, whether we expected it, whether we fantasized about it. This is all a form of things that humans do to fulfill that place as a coping mechanism to go ahead in life. Because if somebody just stuck on negativity without having any desire, it's difficult path. So if somebody has the ability to daydream, to desire, to hold on to good things and to still wish things, they have a lot of things that they can still achieve. In order to do that, it's very essential to let go of all the negative belief system, behaviors, thought process, assumptions, and negative wishes. What good thing can come out of anything that is negative? Nothing. You know, they may people have a lot of belief system. Being hard working is really good. If you learn it really hard, then you will remember it. No, it is not. If somebody has a ability to absorb lesson, a memory, an information, a wisdom, they literally do not have to go through that by themselves. They can just watch somebody else living that life and absorb the lessons and come out of that and never get into that kind of things. People have that ability. We all have that ability. It is just life on earth is very different, and it's obviously different for everybody else. Is each of us, our life is completely different from each other, everybody else. So we can never compare these kind of things to each other. But it's very important that that lesson of being kind to ourselves, being gentle to ourselves, being very understanding, very accepting of ourselves is very essential. A simple thing, for example, when you eat the plate, there are certain people, they cannot keep the plate in the sink, or they cannot keep unwashed dishes, on the somewhere in the kitchen or cup. If they drink coffee or a tea, they literally cannot keep that and somewhere else. They have to wash it immediately. Either they're scared that someone might blame them, say negative things that you're lazy or this or that. But when somebody has grown up and when you are still an adult, no, being lazy is completely different, because at the end of the day you have to do it. Taking care of this kind of a chores is our responsibility, whatever we have to do. But it's very essential that we do not indulge in things that is overdoing is not good. If the clothes are not properly kept, if the dish is not done yet, if you're really tired, you really do not have to do all of those things before going to sleep. There is still another day that comes that you have a chance to fulfill all of those things that are unimportant. What I'm trying to say, people with a lot of trauma have a habit of making everything very important. Like even the smallest of the things, they feel like everything has to be in a perfect place, everything has to be in a perfection. Even if you're typing something, someone is keeping a journal, writing something by hand or typing something, even if there is a misspell, they cannot tolerate it because it has to be proper. It's very essential for these kind of a people to let go of that kind of a smallest of the things that they pick on themselves. Imagine if somebody is sitting next to you and picks on you for every single smallest of the things. How would it be? It would be very torturous, isn't it? It is same for the soul as well. Our higher self is very kind, very understanding. It is divine. When we are in a human body, it is essential for us that we learn to be kind and gentle to ourselves without going into that stream of laziness, because that's also important. There is always another day coming. So if there is some things that are unimportant, it's okay to not to do that today itself. People have a lot of anxiousness, have a lot of personality disorder, who cannot confront people, who cannot confide in people, who doesn't open up to people, who like solitude, who probably will separate themselves from people when they want healing and they wouldn't be with the people at all, or they go on a streak, like go out and do this, do that, just to forget about every single thing. This is the coping mechanism that people with a lot of trauma and suffering actually go through in their life. Either they separate themselves from others and they indulge in either food or some social media or some meditation. If it is meditation, it is really good. It is really good, not bad, because their own understanding that people will not understand, people will react differently, their expectations are different, they will never respond the way I want to. Whatever these complaints that they have, it is because of their own inner belief system that came to them because of whatever life experience they have. And it's true that if people, these kind of people are most likely are surrounded by people who really are not that much kind enough to them. It's because of that they picked this kind of a habit of not being kind enough to themselves. A lot of people, when they grow up, they do try to come out of it when they are financially independent. This is exactly why people who have a lot of issues in their family life when they were kids, they wait for the moment when they want to get out of the house for a higher education or get a job and live independently, want to buy this, want to buy that, because they wanted that freedom within. It's not that they wanted to buy this, buy that, it is the experience of having that freedom to decide and go for it and be able to do it is the thing that they craved for. Now they have that financial independence, now they have the credibility, now they have that finances and opportunity and the moment and freedom. Now they are using it a different way. People may do it. That is why when people get out of their house, especially people who go into another country or even a faraway place, either they feel reclusive because they feel cut off from their family, or they feel so happy they're cut off from their family they don't want to go back and they indulge in a lot of food or this or that, whatever it is, it happens. So these kind of people who have a lot of issue within themselves, who always on a burnout, they may console somebody, sitting down for a whole day having a conversation with them, but they wouldn't do that to themselves. They will pick up that smallest of the things, just looking at somebody's body language, their facial expression, their tone change, or whatever it is. It is because they had to learn that cues from their adults in their life when they were kids to protect themselves from something, to not to make such adults angry, upset, because otherwise there would be consequences that they did not wanted to face, which was not their fault as children. Children are children. It was parents' responsibility to be that benevolent parent, but also responsible one. See, this is a very vast topic. But I am just limiting this to those children who grew up this way, who have a personality issues this way. People might become spendthrift. People might become, um, too much indulging in things they're not supposed to do. Food, drinking, internet, social media, buying things, or going out always. They do either they do not want to be alone, or they want to be alone without being with anybody. This is all just a fraction of the things that shows up as a reaction to their childhood. So if you are somebody, it's probably suggestible, as my spirit guardians always say. It starts from within. Realization and deciding and having the determination that this has to be sorted out in my life, because I like peace in my life. It's divine right of mine to be in peace, to choose the love, choose what is good for me, what is best for me. So I'm letting go of all these addictions, I'm letting go of all the things that does not serves me. So whether it's a person or a memory or an experience or a place or a hobby or an idea or a desire, it is good for me. So letting go of these kind of things makes one little bit comes closer to themselves. The self-love starts from within. When we love ourselves, it becomes easier for us to be kind and gentle and forgiving and accepting ourselves. See, if you are somebody who steps on somebody without even realizing, imagine person A, person B, there are two people. Person A forgives you easily. They don't say anything. They know it's an accident. And they say, no problem. Let it go, that's okay. And second person immediately gets angry. Who do you think you really consider as a better person? First person. That first person is something that we also need for our own self, within our own self. This is exactly forgiving others, how much society implies forgive. It's also important that we forgive ourselves as well, because this is exactly how it's supposed to be in a spiritual path. When we let go of all the negative things that came to us because of the life on earth without realizing what is actual truth is, and if somebody is suffering, it is our responsibility to let go of all those negative things that came to us because of the life on earth, and to hold on to those things that are actually truthful, that you yourself can discern your situation, call in for help from the divine, and receive that kind of guidance directly from the divine to receive customized version of your own solutions in your life. That would I would suggest. So this is very important, to have that compassion for the self and to let go of that limitations people have regarding them. So they cannot have this, they are not able to do this, they are this, that. Instead of, we can feel better by looking at our own self and saying good things to ourselves. If somebody comes to us and say randomly, you know, say some good things to us, it's really brightens up our day, isn't it? It makes our mood better. For example, a long time ago, I was traveling in a bus and I saw a policewoman sitting next to me. And we have never met. It was very distance travel. So I literally looked at her hand and her watch was really beautiful. And I just couldn't control myself and I just appreciated that. And I told her that, wow, it's really nice watch. It's really beautiful. That's all I said. Nothing more than that. And suddenly she was slightly sluggish looking. Maybe she was thinking something else. Perhaps she was not sad at all. But she was thinking something and she was not giving it, attention to the vehicle. It was standing there. And when I said that, her face brightened up in a second and she said that it is her husband's watch or her brother's watch, is man's watch, by the way. And she was so happy, like she kept talking about for a few minutes and then she kept smiling for the rest of the journey. So it was a 30-40 minutes bus ride, it seems. It's a long ago. So these kind of things, when somebody doesn't have to do that for ourselves, we can do that for ourselves, looking at our own self and saying this is that, this is that. In the eyes of the divine, we are all the children. We are all the children of the divine. We are all beautiful. We are all divine. It is essential for us to be that kind and the compassionate hand in our own life, because it touches our soul, it touches our consciousness, and it's good for us. I hope you understand.